So we are on the draw. I think I have to keep this, but playing Stonecoil Serpent on turn 1 feels like a bummer. What advice for Cube can you give to a person who is familiar with Standard Limited but not Cube? Let's see. What are the biggest differences? Reevaluating your thought processes around the fact that Cube has so many more playable cards is an important first step. I don't think that I can tell you what that means, other than that when you do practice it, you should probably be noticing that you can afford to draft non-playables more highly. Dual lands and stuff. Or to speculate, you don't need to go as hard into something right away. It also means that you can play monocolored decks more often. Alright, opponent has 2 lands and nothing else. If they want to Inscription of Abundance my Spellbinder, I think I'm totally okay with that. But to be honest, all of their cards suck. I guess I don't want them mutating Gemraiser. So that's probably the most important thing for me to remove. Yes, Inscription of Abundance lets them fight Spellbinder. That much is true. But if they want to 2-for-1 themselves like that, I think I'm supposed to be okay with that. I think I'm just supposed to use Unbreakable Formation to counter the fight spell here. I don't think I can afford to sorcery speed it. I guess I could also just let the fight spell happen and just play a 4/4 Stonecoil. That might be good. Oh, I didn't even think that they would want to try to put counters on it. Huh, okay. Well, that works for me then. Because now I can just Unbreakable Formation next turn, and that's still pretty much fine. I should have considered them putting the counters on it, I guess. But yeah, their hand doesn't look like it really functions, per se. Think we're just Unbreakable Formation in here and attacking? The clock that puts them under seems pretty impressive. Because we do have a 5/5 trampling Stonecoil Serpent that they can't really handle. If they find a green source, they get to mutate the Gemraiser, which kills the Stonecoil Serpent. So that is a danger. They have a counterspell. If I play Blood Artist, then they counterspell the Blood Artist. And I don't want that. So I probably play the Ranger of Eos post-combat. If I attack with only Stonecoil Serpent, they block everything on Stonecoil Serpent. That sounds like a no. So they block the Spellbinder. They let the Trample put them to 4. They try to top deck a green source. Ranger of Eos, get that countered, and then next turn we play the Blood Artist. while the opponent's at 1. They do not top deck the green source, so that just leaves them with literally nothing. They can regrowth a Pteramander, but that doesn't stop them from dying. Okie dokie. That works. The Inscription of Abundance turn I'm kind of curious on. Was that fine for me because I was getting to do so much damage and develop my board if they took that option? Or was there a way I was supposed to play around it? Well, for one, taking it instead of the Gem Razor was one option. The fact that they could just put counters meant I should have considered that differently. Had they found green sources, the Gem Razor being in exile still threatened the Stonecoil Serpent. I don't know. The way it played out definitely made me happy that I made the choices I did, because playing the Stonecoil Serpent for 4 was so powerful. I thought they were going to block the Alseid and then fight the Spellbinder, and the line I took played around that relatively well. Did 3 damage to them and fizzled the fight spell, but maybe reading me on that is why they didn't go for that line. Not sure. Alright. 1-drop, 2-drop Oketra's Monument. I'm gonna say that's probably good enough. If we hit a 4th land, we get to go turn 4 Ministrant of Obligation and Elite Spellbinder. That would be very cool if that happens. Well, opponent, what do you say? Do you want to trade with my Alseid with your elf? No? Really? Wow, I'm so surprised. I didn't see that coming at all. Champion of Wits probably will want to trade with the Alseid, which makes me a little bit sad. But I suppose it's not something that's blocking my creatures, which I can take as a victory. Ooh, I could totally place turn 3 Oketra's Monument into Stonecoil Serpent for 0 to make a 1/1. Nice. I don't think I'm going to take that line, though. Excellent. We do have the ability to do both of the things we wanted to do next turn. Happy to see it. Champion of Wits down. And the board state in widening begins. Hopefully this Elite Spellbinder really interrupts our opponent's ramp nonsense strategy. Glory Bringer is probably a problem. They do exert to kill the Remorseful Cleric, which, well, I get to exile their Champion of which should feel sort of good, I guess, probably. Not the best time for a History of Benalia, unfortunately, but oh well. Could always be a worse time for a History of Benalia. Magmaquake. Oh, that's not a card I want them to have. That's going to be a problem, because even if I take it, they can still cast it for 1. Shoot. Okay, that's really bad. Well, multiple choice is the card that gets more punished by Elite Spellbinder. I still gotta play Ministrant of Obligation. I'm gonna lose my entire board to a Magmaquake, but at least I do get some 1/1s after that. Concerning. They lose the Llanowar Elves, which helps make the attacks on multiple choice do even more. Keep a card on top. Bummed by that. If we hit an untapped land, I can play Stonecoil for 5. If we don't hit an untapped land, I'm definitely not playing Stonecoil for 4 into the Glorybringer. We do hit the untapped land. That is probably a good thing, all in all. Opponent correctly holds the Magma Quake, which means we don't get to attack with the 2 tokens from Ministrant of Obligation this turn. Opponent takes all the damage, which is kind of unexpected and confusing, but I will accept it. I guess it stops me from playing more creatures here, which they're probably okay with. So how much is this? X is 2. So they have to pay 5 mana to bounce my Stonecoil Serpent? Makes me unhappy, but alright. Yeah, I think I have to force them to. By waiting on the Magma Quake and taking all that damage, they do clean up an extra 1/1? I guess. Oh, wow, they just don't even Magma Quake? They hold the Llanowar Elves. Okay, I guess that works out, because now they get to blow up the Stonecoil Serpent? It just... that really taxes their man... What? Did they just keep a hard board wipe on top is what's going on? What happens if I block your Glorybringer, opponent? Did you forget my creature has reach? You Magma Quake for 1, yes. But I got creature lands and making 2 1/1s here. Alright, I'm willing to see what you got. I suppose if I don't block, they can still just Magma Quake for 5, can't they? Oh, that's a dragon, huh? Or no, Magma Quake doesn't hit flyers is what happened. Right, okay. I forgot how that worked. Would we prefer to activate Cave of the Frost Dragon here to get in 1 more point of damage, or Crawling Barrens so that on future turns our Crawling Barrens is bigger? Leads to lethal in basically the same number of attacks. Guess Crawling Barrens is slightly more mana efficient. On possible future turns. I'm actually not sure which of these is better. Both of them, the opponent can cast multiple choice to bounce a spirit token to stop lethal. So Crawling Barrens leaves me with the bigger creature in play that gets to attack through a Glorybringer blocker after that happens. Oh, or they can just make a 4/4, I guess? In which case, Cave the Frost Dragon. Alright, yeah. I didn't realize they had the ability to make the 4/4. So Cave of the Frost Dragons was definitely better against that. What's the right way to play this? Chop down the 4/4, play the Giant Killer? Chop down the 4/4, play the History? Probably play the Giant Killer because it puts 2 creatures into play right now. Or I could just swing with the Cave. That's probably for the best. Put the opponent to 1. Okay. Yeah, didn't think about that. I suspect the ability to make a 4/4 made Cave just the better option overall. Instead of animating Crawling Barrens the turn I did. Luckily, still got there. I'm not certain about the lines they took with the Magma Quake. I think that was probably pretty bad. Come to think of it, they exerted the Glorybringer. What did they exert the Glorybringer on? Oh, they exerted it on, like, the Spellbinder, didn't they? I really don't know what they were doing. They probably should have exerted it on the Ministrant. Oh, Spellbinder doesn't get killed by Magma Quake. That's what was going on. And neither would the... I keep forgetting how Magma Quake works. My brain thinks that it's Flame Sweep. Okay, that's why I was so confused. Their lines make a lot more sense now. No black mana, but we got a Scrap Heap Scrounger. I don't like the idea of mulliganing, but I'm not going to mulligan anyway because I don't like the idea of mulliganing. And we can just draw lands. Why mulligan when you can just draw what you need instead? It's a very effective strategy, I find. Our opponent has decided they want to do a lot of ramping, which sort of scares me. But at least we have Swords to Plowshares. The bad news is using Swords to Plowshares to remove our opponent's stuff that they ramped out gains them a lot of life, which ain't ideal. So hopefully they won't play an Elder Gargaroth. Hopefully it's just something silly like casting a Foretold Board Wipe, which is sort of a 2-for-1. Kind of. Scrap Heap Scrounger. I guess it dying technically counts as it dying. Pay 3 life. Return target creature from the graveyard to the battlefield. What am I even supposed to think of that? I think I'm supposed to Swords to Plowshares that anyway, so that I can attack with Cruel Celebrant. And I definitely want to be able to play Ranger of Eos next turn, so not being able to use the mana there would kind of suck. Alright, Ranger of Eos goes and grabs us probably a Giant Killer, and probably a Stonecoil Serpent, I think. Although Dread Wanderer is sort of interesting with the drain outlets. I guess we don't really have a sacrifice outlet though, so probably still Stonecoil Serpent. Gosh, it's cool that Ranger of Eos can fetch a 5-drop. That's really fun. You've done so much ramping, opponent. Surely you must have something big to play. Tensure Dryad is... yeah, pretty good and inconvenient. Alright, Blood Artist. That's good against Tensure Dryad. I don't think I'm willing to use my Unbreakable Formation here. It does push through some damage, but... okay, cool. If they want to trade off Tendershoot Dryad for a creature, then that is so much board state I don't have to worry about. I'm not going to play a creature here because I think that trading pattern just screams board wipe to me. So I want to hold up Unbreakable Formation. It also, thankfully, looks like I'm holding up Giant Killer, which, to be fair, I am. If they don't board wipe me, that's a good answer. Hey, look, my opponent had a board wipe. Alright, I feel like that justifies all of my decision-making here. It's not really how justifying works, but it's how it feels like it works. This Isolated Chapel not coming into play on tapped on turn 1 is kind of exactly what I was afraid of. Crypt Breaker is a very medium card if you don't play it untapped. What are we with this deck? I think we're 2-0 or something like that. I don't believe we've lost. I don't think I can keep this. This just seems really underwhelming. If my turn 1 land was untapped, it'd be a different story. Okay, well, this is sort of the same problem, but in a different direction. Well, I guess cut the Skyclave Apparition. We definitely can't go below 6, though, so there was no mulliganing that. Okay, well, that means we're discarding stuff to Cryptbreaker. We look a lot like a mono black deck here, huh? Then Croakies did a 5-color Golos Field of the Dead deck. Nice. Field of the Dead seems like one of the more interesting cards to build around. The pieces to it are, other than exactly Field, kind of highly competitive, so I don't think it'll come together super often. It'll probably be like Storm and Legacy Cube, where it's super cool when you get it, but never, like, oppressive, which is cool. Yeah, I think that Cube's having strategies that fit exactly that play pattern is a very good sign for the format. I'm probably discarding Cruel Celebrant. No, I'm probably discarding History of Benalia, aren't I? Ugh. Okay, you transform when 3 or more. Got it. Well, we can start drawing cards with zombies if we decide not to attack. Okay, you can counterspell my 1-drop opponent. That is allowed. Oh, hey kitty, we'll let you in. Hold on. So anxious. Meow. Meow. Oh, you just wanted to jump up on my chair before I could even get back there, huh? We're that eager to be on camera. Goodness gracious. Mono blue so far for opponent, huh? That's interesting. Yeah, this time around Sox retrieved himself. I think we get rid of Cruel Celebrant here. I think History of Benalia just is higher impact. Should I be drawing or attacking? For starters, let's see what the opponent does with History of Benalia. I would like that information before I decide. They counter it. What do you think, buddy? Draw or 5? Opponent doesn't look like they have a lot in the way of board wipes, so I think we apply pressure. I'm going to go with we continue to apply pressure and also draw cards. Unbreakable formations, pretty cool draw. Opponent chump blocks, you love to see it. Oh, should I guess I should have drawn after declaring attacks, before blocks, on the off chance this draw is like exactly Swords to Plowshares. It is not, so I am not quite punished. Because I do think I probably wanted to Swords the Warkite Marauder before it could block. Opponent scries. Probably meant to set an upkeep stop if they're scrying at this point in the game, so that they could scry before drawing the card off the top of their deck. They keep a card on top. They memory deluge the card on top. Ah. Well, luckily, we currently have lethal, so that's a good sign. Yeah, alright. I guess this just keeps working. Works for me. No 2-drop. Oketra's Monument is a 3-drop. I don't think I'm willing to throw this away because it does have a creature land, but this is a little bit of a dicier hand. Hopefully we just draw a 2-drop and then there isn't any problems. Wow! Pillar of Flames is incredibly rude way to kill my 1-drop. And leave me with a giant killer that isn't actually very helpful. Could play Giant Killer, but I don't think that that's correct. For telling stuff? Me flooding? Opponent, this seems like some nonsense to me. Well, at least Torolf's Disciple is something that I can Skyclave Apparition, I guess. But unfortunately, I get the feeling that my opponent is probably... Oh wait, can I Giant... No, Giant Killer does not hit that. I get the feeling my opponent's deck is probably going to be extremely capable of removing a Skyclave Apparition, unfortunately. Oh, they abrade my Ketra's Monument. You know what? I'm kind of okay with that because I didn't have any way to use that anymore. Somewhat successful. And my opponent did in fact have an answer for my Skyclave Apparition. Oh, wow, I did apparently have a use for Oketra's Monument because I had one card in my deck I could draw that made it extremely good. I'll live. Ranger of Eos, turns out, is still extremely good, regardless of how you get there. Yeah, let's... I guess just play the Esper Sentinel. It seems like it's the most likely to be an impactful 1-drop here. If we draw an untap land, do we play a 6/6 Stonecoil Serpent or a Bastion of Remembrance? I guess that depends on what kind of creature the opponent possibly plays this turn. If we don't draw a land, am I just jamming a 5/5 Stonecoil Serpent? Wow. Opponent decides to use 4-mana removal spell on the 3/2 when they know I've got a 5/5 Stonecoil Serpent coming? I take that to mean they must have an answer for the Stonecoil Serpent already. Swords to Plowshares is cool. They're also missing a land drop, which means my Esper Sentinel will probably continue to be pretty effective at taxing them for the time being. Alright, Stonecoil Serpent then. Oh wait, no, they've already used an Abrade, so they can't hit it with that. I choose to believe this attack probably means a board wipe, so I'm willing to block. Okay. Rimrock Knight. Trade with a Stonecoil Serpent. I probably am okay with that. Is Bastion Remembrance any? No, just me. And a Lightning Bolt for the Esper Sentinel. So then the thing that's been foretold is probably the ability to make 4/4 Angels. We have one of those under control with Swords and the other under control with Giant Killer if they ever hit the 5th land. I think Ministrant of Obligation here, and then probably Bastion of Remembrance next turn, most likely. There's the land, so probably 2 4/4s here, I would imagine. Wait, what's the wording on lore hold command? Why is it acting like they are the target of the first mode when the first mode doesn't say target player gains 3 life. That's why. Okay. So if I remove my Ministrant of Obligation, they would still get a 3-2, because the spell would still have 1 legal target and would resolve. Okay. Don't think it's worth trading the 1-1 for 2 damage here, when I can potentially get through with one of these creatures on the ground next turn. We still have answers if they now decide to make 2 4/4s, although their life total is annoyingly high. Luckily for us, the opponent has filled their deck with some number of lightning bolts, thanks to the Disciple, which are cards we would very much like them to draw at this point. Okay, so now I'm confused, because this is starting to look like this is not actually the ability to make... I think I'm okay trading damage here. Angels, because I feel like they would have played 2 4/4 Angels here over the Rimrock Knight if they had the ability to do that. I don't know what that makes this card. A board wipe? That doesn't seem correct. Huh. Oh, is there like a destroy target attacking creature for Tell Spell? There's a lightning bolt on the 1-1. Okay. I guess Demon Bolt could be in the format? That would be surprising that they would use Lightning Bolt instead of Demon Bolt, though. It's obviously Doomscar. It might be a Doomscar, but... No, okay, it's Demon Bolt, if they're priority here in mousing around stuff. There seemed like so many better opportunities to play a Doomscar. They could be faking priority, although I doubt that that is something that they are doing here. I think I'm willing to let them attack with everything. They choose not to sack the Bomat Courier. Okay. So they honestly, well and truly want to race me here. Huh. What to make of that? We still have the Swords to Plowshares. Guess that means I just leave back a 1-1? Force them to Demon Bolt the 1-1? And then probably just play the Giant Killer as a second blocker? Well, I guess then they Demon Bolt the Giant Killer, huh? But considering their life total is very low, I'm probably okay with that. Whichever thing they Demon Bolt, I'm still getting a Celebrant and a Bastion of Remembrance trigger off of anyway. And now I have the ability to attack with Cave of the Frost Dragon next turn. So they get to draw some... Okay, well, Field of Ruin answers Cave, although it's kind of mana intense for them at the moment. They get to draw 2 cards with Bomat Courier. They do indeed Demon Bolt the Giant Killer. This triggers 2 drains. I think I'm just supposed to block the Rimrock Knight. They're probably sacking the Bomat Courier anyway, so I should just prevent as much damage as possible. Get 2 drains here. If they do find a burn spell, which would be hard to kill us with from this position, I can Swords my Spellbinder to gain life. Remorseful Cleric is actually a burn spell on our side with the Celebrant and the Remembrance in play. But yeah, I'm going to go with being the deck that has Cruel Celebrant, Bastion of Remembrance, and a bunch of tokens against an aggro deck is very good against a bunch of burn spells. Well, another win. Alright. Somehow the matchup of 2 aggro decks has been the longest game we've played so far. Is that how it normally works when you're playing aggro? Well, this is a hand. I'm definitely not mulliganing it, but the Crypt Breaker probably doesn't look stellar. I hope they have an instant speed burn spell for my Esper Sentinel and are really sad. No, they don't. Aw. Aw. First Strike's pretty good. I'm gonna have to get rid of that, probably. Well, at least we have Crypt Breaker to be a mana dump for the time being, both in terms of ways to spend our mana and ways to use these far too many lands we have drawn. So that could be worse. No, a 2/2, my only weakness. That card's gonna be a problem. I don't know whether I can afford to make a zombie this turn, or if I just have to play a 3/3 Stonecoil Serpent. I think I'm supposed to just make a 3/3 Stonecoil Serpent, hope the opponent plays a 3-drop and pumps it with Mikaeus, and then I get to Giant Killer it. But making a zombie with Crypt Breaker feels pretty bad. Swords to Plowshares also feels very bad. But I guess I'm happier that they Swords to Plowshares that Stonecoil Serpent than my Crypt Breaker? Maybe? Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not true. Okay, still can't really do anything about Mikaeus. I could Banishing Light it. I'm not accomplishing, like, anything if I do that, but I don't think I can pass it back to them with them having a Mikaeus in play here. So I guess doing this and then getting in for 2 is my life right now. Definitely not exciting. We are not doing a very good job of being aggressive here. Conclave Tribunal gets to answer the Crypt Breaker. Alright, well, at least now I have a reason to play out my lands. We have a board state. That's technically useful. Alright, if both me and the opponent are flooding, then I guess this is okay? It's a very loose definition of okay, but we are the ones doing more damage per turn currently. Madanta Vanguard's sort of a problem? Spellbinder, what do you see? What tricksy nonsense does the opponent have? Ah, Valorous Stance that has little to no use. Okay, okay. Does make the Giant Killer better, I suppose. You sure you want to do that, opponent? You're gonna pay a lot of life for no reason at all, and then I just bring my Dread Wanderer back. You do deny me the ability to have my Giant Killer up, though. You should probably take the 2. Just saying. It's less damage. Okay. So if they play anything that's big enough... Ugh, Ranger Vios is not big enough to Giant Killer. And does give them a lot of toys. Wow, they only had one 1-drop in their deck to go get. But it is an extremely good 1-drop, so I am in a relatively huge amount of trouble. Ah, I can't even Giant Killer down the Dragon token because it doesn't cost mana. So the Valorous Stance will be valid. Bummer. Well, the Bastion of Remembrance at least helps push through a little bit of damage here. The Dread Wanderer is still... Oh, I see. They're just willing to lose the Adonta Vanguard at this point? Sure. Well, I'm willing to spend mana to bring back Dread Wanderer since I have Bastion of Remembrance. There's the very strong possibility that Dread Wanderer over and over and over and over to trigger Bastion of Remembrance is the way that we are pushing through the last of this damage. Okay, we take this damage. We swing with everybody. They don't want to block with the Dragon Master Outcast. They don't want to block with the Dragon Master Outcast, rather. We can play Remorseful Cleric. We get to force the Valorous Stance out of their hand, and then we get to play the Giant Killer. And we are on our way to just burning them out with Bastion of Remembrance. It's kind of difficult for them to make blocks that don't kill our creatures, so... Does this turn into something with lifelink? It does. Oh, come on. Really now? Okay, wait, I can tap it down with Giant Killer. Yeah, okay, this still works. This still works. Thank you, Giant Killer, for saving me. None of my creatures have 2 toughness, so every single one of them gets through for 1 point of damage. Oh, this is adorable lethal. Oh wow, I can't actually cast the Unbreakable Formation. It actively gives me no lethal. That's kind of cute. Yep, that's a block. Unfortunately, opponent, there is no way out. I have done exactly enough damage. Ah, you love to see it. Alright, we have 2-drop, and then nothing but expensive spells and no lands. I don't see the problem with this hand. What could possibly go wrong with us never drawing lands? We could draw more expensive spells. That's true. There we go. Never didn't have it. Yeah, Socks is... I don't know if it's my attention that matters to him, or if the attention of my hands is the thing that is most relevant. No attack. That's interesting. I would have thought getting to loot was good. Curious. So I could try to Skyclave Apparition the Werewolf, but I don't think I care about my opponent drawing cards. I'm probably getting my History of Benalia countered here, which is a bummer. Yep. Teferi's Tutelage. Alright. I see. We are racing. Very well, opponent. At some point I can just Skyclave Apparition that Tutelage away, though, so... Oh, this isn't the one that does the weird, if they share a color, mill more thing. This is just the draw is mill 2. Okay. Well, I can probably handle that. I'm thinking we probably want Esper Sentinel, and my opponent's missing land drops. I kind of think it's Alseid here. No, it's probably still always Stonecoil. Even if I only end up playing Stonecoil as a 1-1, the flexibility is valuable. My opponent continues to draw lots of cards. We can flip the Snarling Werewolf back, which doesn't slow down the mill, but does slow down our opponent's accrual of card advantage. Not that card advantage is likely to be an axis that this game is really resolved on anyway, but Ooh, kills Ranger Vios and makes... Oh no, loots. Okay. So yeah, this turn we're definitely answering that Tutelage then. They discard lands. Alright, so they drew plenty of them, it would seem. Dread Wanderer to the graveyard. Very well. 15 cards left in our deck. I assume they must have other... Yeah, we might as well get rid of the graveyard. We don't know if they have intentions of using it or not. Tutelage goes away. We play Sentinel. Well, it's still got a lot of cards, but unless they find another way to mill us, we've got a pretty solid number of turns to go. Next turn, with no land drop, I can go Scrapheap Scrounger, Venerated Loxodon. Putting a counter on Esper Sentinel seems valuable. Opponent does damage and loots. Yep. If we do draw land, I can play Stonecoil Serpent for 3 into Loxodon. Is that better than Scrapheap Scrounger? Huh. I could also play Ministrant of Obligation into Loxodon, which might be better against a board wipe, which could be my biggest fear here. Actually, I probably do like Ministrant of Obligation into Venerated Loxodon if we hit a land drop, because putting 2 tokens into play with Ministrant of Obligation sets up pretty well for Angel Invention. And if they don't board wipe us, I think we're probably doing okay. Depending on what else they do this turn, anyway. We do hit the land drop. Alright. Well, given that they didn't do anything, I think it's pretty likely that they wind up trying to counterspell here. Which will make this Venerated Loxodon sad. Actually, there's a possibility they just counterspell the Ministrant of Obligation, I suppose, since it looks like I'm only going to be able to play a 2-drop after this. No, they don't. Alright, well, I am willing to go for it. Alright. They successfully held the counterspell. I wonder, did they expect a Loxodon there? Or did they have something else they wanted to do up until I played a really threatening card? It's possible they could have had some flash creature. Chandra. Okay, we draw a card. They probably downtick. Yeah, which gives them an illusion. That is a problem. Can Chandra downtick again immediately? Yes. Well, no, because I can actually punch Chandra here. That's interesting. Oh, I can play Angel Invention and actually just straight up kill Chandra. That actually seems pretty ideal. So let's make some servos, go to combat, kill the Chandra. Still got 11 cards in our deck. Until they find some other way to mill us, we're doing okay. We might be getting close to the point where I try to hold up Unbreakable Formation instead of casting spells, if they pass it back to our turn. Board wipes they could have. There's Burn Down the House, there's Magma Quake, although Magma Quake isn't very good here because it only kills our ground creatures. Swords to Plowshares, interesting. So we could try to jam Unbreakable Formation here, but I don't think that's what I'm supposed to do. I believe... Am I supposed to get in with servos? I think not quite yet. Now, from the way the opponent played that previous neutralized turn, I kind of suspect they might have the flash 5-drop here. No, it's just an Abrade. Okay. I could Unbreakable Formation this. Do I want to? I don't think so. I think I just play the 5/5 Stone Coil. Okay. Burn Down the House still answers this cleanly, which is annoying, but I've got a decent number of ways to recover with Scrap Heap Scrounger and Luminarch Aspirant should they try to burn down my house. Swords to Plowshares on Muldrifter means that the Stone Coil Serpent attack is safe. Should I do that before blocks or after blocks? If I do it before blocks, they can't just choose to block Muldrifter on a 1/1. I think I'm okay if they decide to block Muldrifter on a 1/1, though. I don't think that I want to sorcery speed the Unbreakable formation, even though it's a big anthem here. I think just having protection for a board wipe is too valuable now. Okay. They do... do they? I want them to double block the Stonecoil Serpent. They choose not to. Okay. Well, in that case, I think I probably still Swords to Plowshares this Muldrifter anyway. I didn't get them tricked into making the least effective blocks, which were on the Stonecoil Serpent, but I do think that I want that 1/1 in the future, and I want them to not have a 2/2 flyer. I could play Luminarch Aspirant here, but I think Scrapheap Scrounger is better. What you gonna do, opponent? Pass. Pass is cool. I like pass. Attack. This looks like board wipe to me, which is very, very good, because Unbreakable Formation is pretty good against board wipes. Hopefully it's not a mass bounce effect. That would be the least convenient thing possible. Land to start things off. That's fewer cards in our opponent's hand. Alright. It is allowed to be my turn. I don't want to Unbreakable Formation. What you got, opponent? Magma Quake. Wow, I'd like to cast Unbreakable Formation, please. Oh. Alright, I'm pleased with how that went. There were a lot of opportunities to cast Unbreakable Formation to just push through slightly more damage that probably would have lost the game. I'm happy to have avoided the urge to do so.